So this is following an allegation from this morning. Alright, so it's following an allegation from this morning that a gentleman's been pushed off a mobility scooter that's been stolen. Alright. And since then he has passed away in hospital, alright?
In a tragic and heart-wrenching incident in Gloucestershire, England, Kimberley Ann Hawkins, a 41-year-old homeless woman with a history of drug addiction, was caught on surveillance footage stealing the mobility scooter of 63-year-old Neil Shadwick, a man suffering from Parkinson's disease. The crime took place on a frigid night and the consequences were devastating. Shadwick, who relied on his mobility scooter due to his illness, was dragged for a considerable distance on the scooter before eventually falling off. Unable to move and left alone in the sub-zero temperatures, Shadwick lay helpless on the ground for approximately 3 hours before being discovered by a passerby. By the time help arrived at 5:45 a.m., Shadwick was in a critical state, suffering from severe hypothermia. Following the discovery of Shadwick, the police launched an investigation that quickly led to Hawkins. Body cam footage from the police shows the moment they arrested her.
Following an allegation from this morning. Alright, so it's following an allegation from this morning that a gentleman's been pushed off a mobility scooter that's been stolen. Alright. And since then he has passed away in hospital, alright?
Highlighting the seriousness of the crime and the dire circumstances surrounding Shadwick's death. Hawkins was soon charged with manslaughter and other related offences as her actions directly led to Shadwick's demise. The footage of her arrest adds a somber visual element to the case, underscoring the harsh reality of the situation. Hawkins pleaded guilty to manslaughter in June, acknowledging her responsibility for Shadwick's death. The court sentenced her to 6 years in prison for the manslaughter charge, with an additional 6 months to be served consecutively for other offences connected to the incident. The sentencing reflects the gravity of her actions and serves as a reminder of the dire outcomes that can result from seemingly minor crimes. Hawkins's sentence, while significant, cannot undo the harm done to Shadwick or ease the pain felt by his family and the community. Neil Shadwick was a man who had spent much of his later life battling Parkinson's disease, a progressive neurological disorder that severely affected his mobility and quality of life. His reliance on the mobility scooter was not just a matter of convenience, but a necessity. The theft of the scooter left him utterly defenseless in the cold, illustrating the vulnerability of individuals with disabilities and the additional risks they face in everyday life. Hypothermia, the condition Shadwick suffered from after being left in the freezing temperatures, is a dangerous drop in body temperature caused by prolonged exposure to cold. For someone like Shadwick, already weakened by Parkinson's, hypothermia can be particularly deadly. As the body's temperature drops, it can lead to confusion, unconsciousness, and eventually death, if not treated promptly. By the time Shadwick was found, the severe hypothermia had already set in, and despite medical efforts, he was unable to recover, eventually succumbing to pneumonia in the hospital later that day. The community of Gloucestershire was deeply affected by Shadwick's tragic death. His story is a stark reminder of the dangers faced by vulnerable individuals, particularly those with disabilities, in a world where not everyone has their best interests at heart. The incident has led to calls for greater awareness and protection for the elderly and disabled, who are often at higher risk of exploitation and harm. Shadwick's death also highlights the broader social issues surrounding homelessness and drug addiction, as Hawkins's actions were likely influenced by her desperate circumstances. The case has prompted discussions about the intersection of crime, addiction, and vulnerability. Hawkins, despite her criminal actions, is also seen as a product of a failed system that did not provide her with the support needed to break free from the cycle of homelessness and addiction. This case has led to further scrutiny of the social safety nets in place and whether they are sufficient to prevent such tragedies. Moreover, it raises ethical questions about how society deals with individuals who commit crimes under the influence of addiction and what measures can be taken to prevent similar incidents in the future. As we reflect on the tragic death of Neil Shadwick, it is essential to recognize the multifaceted nature of the incident. It is not just a story of a crime, but also one of vulnerability, the consequences of addiction, and the failures of societal systems to protect those at risk. Hawkins's actions, while indefensible, are a stark reminder of the harsh realities faced by individuals on the margins of society. At the same time, Shadwick's death is a powerful call to action for better protection and support for the elderly and disabled, ensuring that they are not left to suffer alone in their time of need. The tragic case of Neil Shadwick's death at the hands of Kimberley Ann Hawkins is a somber reminder of the vulnerability of those who rely on others for their safety and well-being.